Welcome back to another episode of The Real Deal. And today I'm going to talk to you about the No Kings protest. I know, everybody. I know this is like the third time, but I can't help it. They make it so easy. They make it so easy out there. And there's a lot to say. It's like they're still talking about it. They're still bragging about this. They changed the world. We don't have a king. And they're very proud of it. Very proud of it. So you're going to hear about, if you go and check this out on the media, the lamestream media will tell you all the good things that happened. Nothing bad. A couple people got beat up and things like that, but that's the bad people that did that. But these people were out there and they changed the world, and it was the largest one-day protest ever in the history of America, which I don't believe. Because when we fought in the Vietnam War, there were people out there all the time. I mean, there was, in Chicago, there were thousands and thousands of people out there. And that was just one city. And this was all across America, you know, the Vietnam War protests. And that was an unfair war. We never should have been there. We were there to help the Vietnamese. JFK started sending troops there in the late 60s. And he wasn't bringing them back. Don't believe that little lie they tell you about JFK getting ready to bring them all back. No, he wasn't. He escalated that war. He approved that war. He wanted more war. LBJ did what he was supposed to do because that's what Kennedy wanted to do. But the media will tell you other things. The movies will tell you everything about that. But it's not true. The truth is JFK wanted the war. He had no problem with it. And there's a clip out there that talks about him wanting, it's their war, they got to win it. But then if you play the whole clip, they stop it right there, you'll hear a lot more. You'll hear about how we're going to help them win it. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. So we spent all this money over there for nothing. Stop the spread of communism? Yeah, whatever, man. If you really care about that, then why don't you go to China or Russia, where communism's big? And we didn't win Vietnam. We lost that war. And that's sad. All those people gave their lives and their time, and it was horrible. And that's what people were protesting against. And that's okay. Those were peaceful protests. Nobody was funding it. Those people were just showing up. You had some main organizers, and yes, some of them made some money, but it wasn't like today. And they're bragging about this, and we never should have been to Vietnam again. And all those people that served over there bravely, you have my respect because you did what you felt you had to do. And we never should have been there. It was all about money. Most of the wars are about money, and that's Vietnam. We had a lot of financial interest over there. And you look at it today, it's still Vietnam. It's not North and South like the media will tell you. It's Vietnam. It's not Saigon. It's Ho Chi Minh City. And there's not a lot of freedom there. So anyway, back to the protest. They're saying that this is the largest one-day protest, and they're saying 7 million people were involved. Who knows? They're not. You can't prove that. And they're making it sound like all of America was there. Well, 7 million out of the population. America's about 341 million, 342 in there. That's only 2%. The other 98% were maybe going out instead of holding a sign. They were actually helping people, working in soup kitchens, doing charity, doing what they're supposed to do, helping others. Maybe some were working that day. Maybe others were out there, watching football or going to football games. Who knows? But so they're bragging all about it. Now, the main organizers of this group, and it doesn't shock me with some of them, the ACLU, the Civil Liberties Union, I always wondered about them. You're fighting for the civil liberties of who? Everybody? No, they don't fight for the civil liberties of everybody. They're only about certain individuals, certain people. No, don't let them fool you. They don't stick up for anybody who's on the right or even in the middle. They just want a bunch of far left people out there, and they'll stick up for them. And another group here's, MoveOn.org and all these other groups out there. There's a lot of them. And here's the deal. They call themselves nonprofits. Of course, a nonprofit has to put all the money they make back into the agency. How do you do that? Well, let's see. Let's go buy another building. Let's go buy a brand new bus. Let's go buy a car because it's for the business, So that's okay. Or you can pay the CEO a couple $1,000,000 a year like they do. That's what they do, people. They're not there for you or me. Nonprofits are usually scams and shams, and they're getting rich off it. Here's a couple, though, that you should really be worried about. One is the National Nurses Union. They were organizers of this. Now, I don't know about you, but I think that's pretty sad. I think somebody like the Nurses Union should be a little bit biased about all this. Maybe just worry about saving people's lives. Because what happens if somebody gets shot, he goes to the hospital, and he's got a mega hat on? Is the nurse going to treat him like crap because of that? They're not supposed to. But I guarantee there's some out there that will. And that's sad, people. That's just sad. Now, here's a big one. And here's the one you need to worry about, people. This is kind of sad, too. Very sad. The AFT was involved in organizing this. Do you know who that is? Well, that's a huge teachers union. The American Federation of Teachers. Now, what does that tell you? Do your kids get a good education? Do you think they're going to get a great education knowing that these teachers are biased? Do you think these teachers are going to go in and teach them correct history? Do you? Do you think they're going to teach them anything that's relatable? If Donald Trump cured cancer, do you think they go in and teach them? If Donald Trump cured cancer, the left would be mad because he's taking money away from cancer doctors. He's taken from the medical industry. Pinky's out. How dare he cure cancer? We want cancer back. That's what they would do. That's how messed up these people are. They've got hatred in their hearts for this guy, man. They don't care about you. They don't care about me. They don't care about the poor like they pretend to. Give me a break. Like I said, during the Black Lives Matter movement, they said the American flag was racist. Well, now they're all holding it saying, we're a patriot. But let me ask you this. If you know a Democrat that's a neighbor of yours in America, and this is honest, truthful, do you think he's flying the American flag? Go look out your windows right now at your Democratic neighbors. They don't fly the American flag. Why not? Why? Ask them. They have no reason why. They don't know. Because they hate this country. They hate the USA. They do. They say they want to change it for the better, then do it. Holding a sign and saying somebody's a king is not changing the world. Straight up, man. And you got to worry when the teachers are starting to get involved. I will say this. Homeschooling is on the rise. Has been for the past 15, 20 years. There's a reason for that. Because parents, if you ask the parents why, they'll tell you. Because the kid's not getting a good education. Because they don't like the indoctrination that the kids are teaching them. And that's what I call schools for the most part. An indoctrination station. Because that's what they're doing. They don't teach real history anymore. They don't teach the truth. Heck, before you know it, they're going to say the show of the Holocaust, it was the Jews' fault for being over there. Jews' fault for being Jewish. Jeez. And speaking of Jews, all right, let's talk about the funding of this. Now, there's a lot of rumors going out there about who funded all this stuff. And it's the same old people. Now, a lot of the stuff you're going to see on Twitter and stuff, it's not true, people. But, I will tell you this. Taylor Swift and, what's her husband's name? I don't know. Some football dude. Something, I don't know. I don't pay attention to these people. They mean nothing to me. I don't care. So you were graced with a big size and strength and you get millions of dollars off it. Good for you, buddy. I know people that could whoop your butt. But they didn't get the opportunity because they were poor black communities and even poor white communities. They don't come out there. They don't have nobody promoting them like people like you do. Anyway, they funded it. They gave some money. But the main guy, as usual, and the media will tell you this, it's not true. It's not true. But it is true, people. I do a lot of research on this stuff. And the Open Society Foundation, George Soros founded that. And the reason I say speaking of Jews, because George Soros was born into a Jewish family, a very wealthy Jewish family. George Soros, and I'm going to go off on him right here. Soros founded the Open Society Foundation, which gave about $7 million that we know of, 7.2 million, and this is truth, to organize this protest. Now, there's other organizations, other people out there doing it too, but he was the biggest, and him and his son, Alex. Oh, Alex. Hey, Alex, you ever get a broken nail? Oh, it wasn't from working, was it? Because you don't do a damn thing. Little lazy slump. Oh, he's a slump. Anyway, Soros, and I went back to the Jewish thing. And anybody knows me, you know I love the Jews. Oh, yeah. I will stick up for them forever. George Soros won't. George Soros was born Jewish, like many other people, and like Karl Marx. Karl Marx was Jewish. Did you know that? Hated Jews. His family hated Jews. They resented being born Jewish. They hated it. So did Soros. Soros' family hated Jews. He grew up in an anti-Semitic household. They didn't practice Judaism. They didn't like other Jews. And they got out of the Holocaust. Now, he was born in Hungary. The Nazis took over in the mid-40s. I think it was 43, 44 when they got in there. They built all the camps and stuff. They started slaughtering Jews. Now, Soros, like a lot of Jewish people, they were targeted whether you hated Jews or not. And they resented being born Jewish. They didn't like it. And even in his own words, he grew up in an anti-Semitic household. That means he hated Jews. They resented their people. They hated them. They didn't practice. They didn't want anything to do with them. That is horrific. You have the right to believe what you want. But the way they treated the others was just like the Nazis did. And I'm going to go off on this little bastard right now because he's a schlump as far as I'm concerned. A very schwanz person, and I don't like him. I don't like George Soros. I can't stand him because I know too much about him. And he's an evil human being. He's an atheist. Doesn't believe in anything. Okay, that's fine. Doesn't like Jews. Doesn't support the Jews. Now, his family back then, they got some papers to show that they weren't Jewish. They changed their name, too. Soros isn't the real last name. They had a Jewish last name. I can't remember what it is right now, but they changed it because it was too Jewish. They didn't like that. So after they changed their name, there's like Nazis came in. They're like, hey, let's do this. So what they did was they bought some papers, and there were a lot of Jews that did this, and it's smart because the Nazis went after you no matter what. Even if they knew you were anti-Semitic, you were still Jewish. You weren't good enough for them. So they bought papers to show they were Catholic. And a friend of mine, I don't know if you know her, Montana Tucker. She's a famous celebrity. She's a great singer, very good entertainer. She's Jewish, even with the last name Tucker. You can't judge a Jew by the last name, people. Her grandfather survived the Holocaust. That's where he actually met her grandmother, in the death camps. And luckily, fortunately, they survived. Now, Montana's family did the same thing. And her father, being Jewish, he was full-blooded Jewish. Grandfather, he had blonde hair and blue eyes. So the Nazis would see him walking in Germany and think he was one of them. And, of course, the Jews back then, they all spoke German. You're born and raised in Germany. You're going to speak Yiddish. You're going to speak German. And he even said before he passed away, and he was a great man, and I know she misses him, she's a sweetheart. She's a good person. Anyway, he would tell him, he'd be walking down the street, he'd throw his hand in the air. It's like, hey, yeah, hi Hitler, whatever, you know. And it saved his life for a long time till they figured it out. Soros' family did the same thing. And they looked Jewish. They didn't like that. And so what him and his uncle used to do, though, and they're going to tell you differently. They're going to lie about this. I'm going to tell you the truth. Soros and his uncle, now they say it was a Christian godson, blah, 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 him and that. You know, you could go to Fakepedia and read all the lies. You could go on Google all this stuff, and you're going to see nothing but lies, that everything I'm saying is fake, because they cover his ass, because he owns, along with others, lots of the mainstream media, which controls everything and everybody. And I'm going to tell you the truth. And I've seen video of him talking of this, and it's still out there, and it exists. He was talking about how 1944 was the happiest year of his life. Really? Why? Because they were going door to door rounding up Jews. Well, they didn't round him up. Why not? They talk about, and he and his mother hid. They did not. They didn't have to, because he was out there with his uncle and others going door to door where they took the Jews in and they were helping, and they would get a cut of the profits of the stuff they were stealing. They would go into the house. They would take anything that was valuable. Did you know they took people's teeth because gold and silver was in the teeth? So they'd extract their teeth so they could have that. They took their shoes. They took anything that was worth any money. They would take their artwork. They took their homes. They took everything. And Soros and his uncle and others went in there and did that dirty work, and they got a cut of the money. They got a cut. They'd be like, here's your share. Thanks for helping us. And they looked the other way. So don't tell me that George Soros didn't do all that crap. Don't tell me that George Soros wasn't a Nazi, because he was. And I despise that man. And he's an old man and he's billionaire, and I don't think he's going to last much longer. But you know what? When he dies, he's going to go to a special place made for him. And I hope he suffers. I can't stand people like him. Freaking schwanz. Oh, I can't stand people like that. You sold out your own people. I don't like that. Obviously, you people can tell that. That pisses me off. I could go off on that bastard all day long. But hey, go Google it. You're going to see 50 websites say, that never happened. That's a lie. It's never. Bullshit. I got the video. Ask me. Come see me. I'll show it to you. He said it was the best time of his life. Phew. Ooh. Okay. Got to calm down. Oh, I'm fired up. All right. Back to the No Kings protest. Going to finish up here in a minute. Oh, freaking swirls. Anyway, many of these people at the No Kings protest, funded by that bastard Soros. There I go again. Anyway. Oh, man. I love it. Love life. Life is short. You got to love it. Do the right thing and be good. But these people were out the No Kings protest. Instead of being, helping others, what they should have done was say, hey, I'm going to spend $7 million. Why don't you guys go to the homeless shelters and help? Well, we can't do that. We're not going to go around them dirty people. That's how they are, man. Besides that, there's black folks there. We love black people, but we just don't want anything to do with them and don't want them in our communities. You know what I'm saying? Unless they can throw a football or dunk a basketball, then it's okay. That's the truth, and you know it. You know it. Anybody that's like white and listening to that lives in a predominantly white society, community, you know what I'm talking about, because that's the truth, man. But these people were out there, they're mocking Charlie Kirk's death. They're making fun of it. They're pointing to their necks. There was this lady, well, I guess she was a lady, looked more like a heifer. But, by the way, did you know baby elephants, when they're born, weigh 250 pounds? That is the exact same size as a liberal woman. Isn't that amazing? Oh, only difference is that the elephants don't dye their stuff purple because, they're sweet and cute and cuddly. I love baby elephants. They're so adorable. Big elephants, too. They're cool. But if you're an elephant out there holding a No Kings protest sign, whoo, boy, what they should have done was have a march. But they wouldn't be walking. Oh, man, I walked 3 feet to get here. I need a nap, and I need a 12-piece chicken bucket. Anyway, they were mocking his death, making fun of him. Lady in Chicago, who's a teacher, was doing that, and it's all over the place. And she's pointing to her neck, and she's laughing about it, making fun of Charlie Kirk because that's where he got shot. And her principal at the school says, well, you guys were being mean to her. She has the right to defend herself. What? How is somebody, defending herself? You're mocking a man's death. Whether you like Charlie Kirk or not, he was assassinated. He was murdered. His murderer's still sitting in jail. Ain't nothing happening over there. They don't know what's happened, and we don't know what's ever really going to happen over all that. But how do you do that? Peaceful protest, but you're celebrating someone's death? What's wrong with you people, man? Like I said, whether you like the guy or not, he died. He died for what he believed in. And that's cold-blooded, man. He shouldn't have died. He's got a wife and little kids. And to mock that, how would you feel if somebody did that to you? They don't think that way. They don't have empathy. They only think about themselves. They are some of the most selfish people on the planet. And I'll be honest with you. Most of your people on the far left are nothing but selfish hypocrites. They were out there with signs saying 86-47, which is calling for the death of Trump. That's harsh. what if we were to say something bad about Biden? And we did. We'd make fun of the fact he couldn't speak right or that he pooped himself or something like that. Well, that's not funny. You can't say that. That's hurtful. And they would be like all against him, you know? It's like, I mean, all for him and against us. I'm sorry. But it's like they'd be sticking up for him. But if Trump did that, ha, 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 look at what Trump did. When Biden fell walking up the stairs, that was hilarious. That was a classic. But, you know, between me and you, I'm the one that greased the stairs. Anyway, try to prove it in a court of law. My confession is not available in a court of law. Anyway, man, that was funny. And people were laughing. I was like, that's not funny. He's old. He's the president. Oh, but if Trump did that, you'd be laughing, making fun of it, saying he's not fit for office. That's the problem. Freaking hypocrites, man. They're out there with signs talking about Charlie Kirk's death. There were organizations that had fancy signs and booths that were there that said Charlie Kirk got what he deserved. Charlie Kirk deserved to die. That's harsh, man. That's pretty harsh. Now, let's say there was a left-wing guy out there and he was doing stuff and he was going to college campuses preaching about Nazis and saying, hey, Hitler wasn't such a bad guy, because that's what they do. And, you know, and what if he got shot and killed? Then what would have happened? Oh, that's mean. You guys don't be mean. Adolf Hitler was a great man. That's how stupid these people are. That's how hypocritical they are. There were organizers and speakers out there saying that Charlie Kirk got what he deserved. And people were applauding and laughing and making fun. I mean, they're dogging a man getting assassinated. You know? He didn't do anything wrong to anybody. You might not have agreed with his Christian message. I didn't agree with a lot of the things he would say. But you know what? He has the right to say them. First Amendment rights, right? But is the First Amendment for everybody? I think it is, but some people think that you can't say this, you can't do this, and they want to restrict things because they don't agree with it. Well, those people, my friends, are the new Nazis. And it's funny, here's the thing. Everybody calls Trump a Nazi. Well, I don't know too many Nazis that support Israel and Jews. You know, his daughter converted to Judaism. Yeah, I don't know too many Nazis that would be like embracing that. I think most people don't know what Nazis are. I do. And I will say that the far left is the new Nazis. Think about it. Join me again real soon, because I got a lot of things to say. And everything I say is the truth, and it's the real deal, baby. Peace.